All right. Hello, Milanisti. Welcome to a post-match report of Milan Reports. Guys, match day 38. We are Campioni d'Italia, Scudetto winners. Matt, I'm joined with Matt here. How are you feeling today after the win?
Just overcome with emotions. Really, it's really hard to put into words just how special it feels to be champions after so many difficult years. The last Scudetto, of course, which obviously Ibrahimovic played a huge role in. To see it come full circle, right? A guy that joined this team, to see how far we've come as a club since his return a couple of years ago, and we'll obviously get into all the reaction, all the post-match analysis, but I will say it feels good to be a Milan fan today, and it feels good to be back at the top of Italy as champions. And it feels even more special, if I'm being honest, to take it from Inter. So I'm feeling great right now.
Well said. I'm definitely feeling amazing right now, seeing a Milan side who played so hungry. This was definitely one of the best Milan we've seen all season, if not the best. Great individual performances from stars on our team, just like Rafael Leao, Olivier Giroud, Fikayo Tomori, just to name a few. And we'll go ahead and discuss that, our reactions to the player. But even the celebrations after the game, the individual honors as they were walking up to the stance. I think that was amazing to see. Zlatan Ibrahimovic walking out with the cigar, Pierre Kalulu walking out classy with the wine bottle, champagne on his shoulder.
Awesome.
It was fantastic. So, and overall, Milan away from home getting the 3-0 victory against a strong Sassuolo side with players that are linked to other Serie A teams. And as I mentioned, guys, we just had players shine today. I mean, I counted 5 big chances in the first 10 minutes and from 5 different players. I mean, I thought it was going to be an insane match already just from the kickoff. So no ratings today. Doesn't look like we'll go ahead and have a visual to go ahead and throw out. But Matt and I will go ahead and give our individual ratings on players and their performance. So I'll go ahead and give a quick highlight here of the game. As I mentioned, 3-0 Milan against Sassuolo. Goal came from Olivier Giroud after an assist from Rafael Leao, winning it, and then dribbling all the way to the byline, squaring it back to Giroud. Next, another Olivier Giroud combination goal from Rafael Leao. Matt, how are you feeling after seeing the combination Leao-Giroud not only work once, but twice in the span of half an hour?
They were driving slow, and I think the amount of assists that Rafael Leao has been able to compile in the past 3 away games specifically, which is a stat I actually saw come across my timeline, speaks to the type of versatility he has as an attacker, right? Because I think obviously it's nice to look to goals. It's nice to see that sort of number get put up there, and he's got 11 on the season. He's had a great year. His last 3 away games, he had 1 against Lazio, the winner, the obviously the assist to get the match winner there. He had 2 against Verona away, and then he gets 3 away against Sassuolo. 6 assists in 3 away games. I mean, that's talk about a player who entered the season and people were kind of on the fence about whether or not maybe they should sell him, get maybe 40 million for him or whatever it is, cut their losses and move on and get the money put into another attacker who can deliver like instant results. And there was patience with Leao, and you started to see down the stretch specifically where Milan were looking where they were going to get their goals from, right? Obviously, Giroud had his moments, but for the most part, Milan really weren't getting the consistent goal scoring that they really needed in order to see this Scudetto push out. And that speaks to Leao's maturity as a player, right? Being able to take the offensive workload, put it on his back, run with it, literally. And he's doing everything, right? He's scoring goals. He's getting assists. He's creating havoc. And I think what you saw in the early portion of this game was even when Milan weren't getting those chances to fall due to some good goalkeeper from Consigli. I was praying it wasn't one of those Consigli masterclasses today. But credit to Milan and credit to Leao for refusing to be frustrated because they kept coming with wave after wave of attacking chances. And once that first goal obviously fell into the net, I think you kind of got a sense that, all right, Milan are going to put up some numbers here. They're going to get into a comfortable position. They're actually going to do this thing. 3 first half assists. That's how you punctuate a season. That's how you earn yourself the honor as Serie A MVP, and a job well done by Leao and a job well done by Milan.
I want to go ahead and follow up to the point you said that Leao able to go ahead and carry on the attack on his back. Let's say you next season are in charge of the Milan finances. Are you paying Leao the big bucks?
Yeah, without a question. I think it's really hard to look at an attacking player now that you can get on the market that obviously can give you the numbers and the ability and the potential that he has for a good, favorable cost, right? I think we all understand that Milan are in a current position now where they could be getting some new ownership. Obviously, that could see an injection of funds. It's hard to really pinpoint what type of budget we're going to have. But I think, as this player, and speaking on Leao, continues to grow, I mean, he's so young still. So I think everyone's so quick to look at, okay, they could sell, they could get a ton of money, fine. But where are you getting a replacement that's doing what he can do off the season he just had? He's only begun to scratch the surface of what he's actually capable of. And I would be stunned if don't get an extension done here. I know there's going to be interest now, obviously, when you're winning a title like this and you're having the season that he's had, there's obviously going to be more eyes on you, and more money being thrown your way to convince you to join the club. But I think there's a bigger purpose here with Leao. There's a bigger purpose with some of these other players. And I think Leao is going to take after Theo Hernandez, who also had a ton of interest, right? But he had no reservations about committing to the club long term. I think Leao is going to get paid handsomely. Obviously, with Kesia leaving, which, again, tip of the cap to him. I know we talked about that a couple weeks ago, and really the entire season as a hot topic. With him leaving, with Romagnoli leaving, with funds coming in, there's no reason to doubt that I think Leao is going to get a rich contract where he's going to pay a good substantial amount above what he's currently earning, and he's going to be put at the forefront of this project because he's right now irreplaceable and he's one of the most dangerous attacking players in Europe.
Well said. Thank you for that. I want to go ahead, before we go ahead and continue on the rest of the highlights from the game, throw out some of our comments from the chat. Very exciting from Terrio. Forza Milan, campione d'Italia.
Fatiero's always been too, Riccardo. Like, I don't know if you know this, but like a lot of the guys that we're seeing here and the people in the chat were here from the very beginning of even last year of when we started the Milan Reports project. Like, Fatiero's always in here every week. We have Osama, who's been in here every week. Like, there's some regulars who have seen, the previous season getting Champions League and then now being able to like join us for this. It's like a full circle moment. So like, big shout out to Fatiero, Osama. You guys are awesome. And yeah, it just feels great, right? It's just, I'm going to have so many emotions, going to be talking so much during the stream, Riccardo, but like, you could see the comments, just everyone's overwhelmed with joy. And this is what it feels like to be champions. Once again, it feels amazing.
Well, so keep it throwing, guys. Love everyone's input in the chat right now. Do thank everyone who's joining us again. I know just this season has been a very roller coaster of emotion, and there's been plenty of hot topics, as you mentioned, like Kesia here, but now that we're here at the end, winners, it feels absolutely fantastic. It was great even seeing a possible Zlatan goal to end the season, although it was brought back for offside.
Header.
It was beautiful. I'm not going to lie. And I'll just go ahead and continue there. Frank Kesia went ahead and slot the third goal here to end the first half. Beautiful again from Rafael Leao, getting the assist, completing a hat trick of assists there in the first half, as you mentioned, and then Kesia, scoring on his last game as a Milan player. As you said, hats off to him. I thought the finish was absolutely brilliant. He gave it 110%. Last week we mentioned what it meant to him. Really working all the way up until the final whistle against Atalanta, and then looking over at the fans and just giving that cheer. So, and then Ismail Benacer coming in for Sandro Tonali. Tonali leading just at a halftime there, picking up a yellow first half. And then that's it. That no more goals ended up coming here at the end of the game. Zlatan's goal was ruled out for offside. He came in there. We saw some introductions. Florenzi coming in, Romagnoli also coming in. Who else did come? Brahim Diaz got the opportunity to come in for Ray Krunic there. I'll go ahead and throw some more of these comments here. And there's
probably a ton.
And this one's directed to you, Matteo. Thanks for all your please win AC Milan. You played a big part. This one's a big important one. Today was the big important one.
Listen, there were so many people to you know, like even in the build up to yesterday, I was at a friend's party for his 30th birthday, and they were like, "We're waiting for your tweet." Like, and I was like, "Don't worry," because people were saying, you know, some of the please win tweets from the previous games were a little bit past 12, and everyone was like, I was like, 12 o'clock on the button. I was ready to push tweet on that, and I knew I was going to wake up with such a frenzy around it. And I'm glad. Listen, it has no bearing on any of the results. They're not looking at this tweet and it's having sort of any effect on how they play. But I think it just goes to show you like what the community is, and that Milan fans, I don't know, like a special breed. Like we've been through so much as a fan base. So just to be able to have something like this bring joy to people, or at least some sort of excitement. And like, you know, I could see here Alba Finn like just commenting on that. It's just awesome just to share these moments with you guys. So thank you.
Florin Costi here, throwing out a nice comment here. What he loved the most is that almost every player had a decisive moment during the season. Goes ahead, mentions some from Tatarasanu's save against Inter to Tonali's goals there. On his birthday, Theo's goal, that goal, coast to coast, Atalanta. Magnan saves, plenty of saves throughout the seasons. Leao with assists or goals. Benacer, Kalulu, Tomori, Giroud, all of them. Giroud having big game moments. It's the kind of player he is, having played big games and having an absolute awesome resume.
I know you can go on and on and on here, but like we've been stressing that, right, Riccardo? Like when we were speaking with Sabrina or Miguel, and I know you guys even had Connor on there too. Like we would stress how much down the stretch that somebody else has to come up, right? You know, it can't always be Leao, and we know Leao is the guy that's really been doing a lot of the heavy lifting, but you know, there's so many unsung heroes, so many stories from the season. Junior Messias, right? And I think, you know, the way the presentation was if you guys haven't watched it, or I'm assuming you have, or maybe you were running through the streets of wherever you're at, they're giving that individual opportunity for each player to come out and get that sort of presentation and that sort of reception from the fans who obviously traveled so extremely well for this game. That was very special. And I think as players came out, Riccardo, you started to see, like, you get flashbacks of the season. Tatarusanu coming up, as you mentioned, him walking out, he may not be the guy that's always going to get the glory, but he had his moments when Magnan was out where we really needed, you know, him to step up, and every point means something, right? So for him to get a key save against Inter, to keep us there and to get a result, like, that's what I think is so truly special about this team specifically. They didn't score the most goals. They're not the team that played the sexiest football all the time. They didn't have superstars top to bottom. This team was the epitome of just that, a team, like unity, chemistry, well coached. Just this is the type of team that deserved to win the Scudetto, and they did a lot of things right. A lot of players stepped up to play a part in this Scudetto. Big, small, everywhere in between.
Well said. And we've reiterated this. I remember at the beginning of February when Milan was coming in hot, winning games against Lazio in the Coppa Italia, the Derby, Inter. We kind of had those questions if some of these players had the mentality to go ahead and fight for the Scudetto. Can Milan really go for the Scudetto? And I mean, now that we're here and we've seen some of the growth from the players like Theo Hernandez being able to go ahead and solidify himself as a better defender and, you know, put a cap on his trademark run with that coast-to-coast finish against Atalanta. Players like Sandro Tonali, who didn't have the best first season as a Milan player, now, you know, coming off great form, scoring goals on his birthday, showing just the kind of engine he is in the midfield. And then I can go on and on and on and name other players, you know. And so just seeing that they were able to go ahead and throughout the season pick up that momentum and that mentality. Yes, there was a span where we were tying games, but the games that really mattered here towards the end is where they picked it up, and they just showed the type of Milan hunger today, hungry for goals, every opportunity, even from players like Alexis Salmeckers getting in the positions and getting the fouls up the pitch, and Krunic, literally taking one for the badge, when he got the ball hit in the head or something, and he was down for a moment. So the emotions just at the end of the game, each individual player getting that reception, as you mentioned, was absolutely fantastic, because every single player played a crucial role, whether that be the few minutes against Inter or at the beginning of the season prior to an injury. And, things like that have led to opportunities, and some of these players have taken 100% that opportunity for themselves, like Pierre Kalulu. If it wasn't for, unfortunately, Simon Kjaer getting hurt and then Romagnoli coming off that Inter game, we would have never seen this Kalulu and Tomori partnership that has become an absolute beast in Serie A. I saw that they conceded, I think, 9 since the beginning of the restart in January 2022. So absolutely fantastic. Just that whole defense there. And then Calabria, who could go ahead and be a future captain of this club, just showing that absolute mentality at the end of the season here, that physical and really driving into those tackles. Could go on and on, as I mentioned. So just going to throw some more comments here to direct here the conversation. Forza Milan, thanks for joining. Sabrina, Forza Milan.
Shout out Sabrina.
For singing
dealing with
here.
Internet issues, but Sabrina's still popping in.
And Osama here bringing up again the point here on Giroud, that he may not be the player who scored a lot this season, but at the crucial moments we needed to score, he did go ahead and score. Exactly. Those are the big games that have spot on.
Player. And it's crazy too, right? Because I think, Milan's top scorer was Rafael Leao, if I'm correct, with 11 goals. There's a lot of teams in Serie A that have guys like Domenico Berardi, I believe, has 14 goals. Dusan Vlahovic, Immobile, Victor Osimhen. There's so Tammy Abraham, who had a great year for Roma. He's 16, I think. Milan found a way. They found different ways to win games. And I think that's the unique blend and unique makeup of this team, right? They could score goals. They have guys in this team that can beat you. Olivier Giroud has had his moments. We've spoken so much about Rafael Leao. Milan have been able to win games by scoring goals, putting up numbers. But they've also had moments where they've been able to defend and get a clean sheet from their goalkeeper and go on absolute tears defensively, where they're unbeatable. They're unbreakable in the back. So I think that's also the sign of a true champion, the sign of a true winner, having that characteristic where you can win different ways. You can win in ugly fashion. You can win in stellar fashion. And I think down the stretch you start to see how Milan as a team started to fully embrace the opportunity, yes, but also individually the opportunities that they had as players to make their statement on this Scudetto win. I mean, you mentioned Sandro Tonali. He ain't a goal scorer. Milan don't have really goal-scoring midfielders. Fran Kesia, I know he had a lot of goals last year because of penalties. Benacer had, 1 or 2. Tonali had a couple down the stretch. Each of these players really took it down in stride towards the very end to say, you know what? What's done is done. We've got 5 games left. Let me make my statement on the Scudetto. Let me be remembered as a legend. And I think Ibrahimovic made a great point about that. That halftime chat that he had with the guys that Pioli mentioned a couple weeks ago, where they've had a great year, but no one people at Milan. People remember you as a champion. Like that's what I think a lot of these guys are going to look at. Bakayoko, he didn't play a ton. Maybe he thought his return to Milan was going to go a little bit differently than it did, but he went back to Milan. Now he's a champion. He's able to be a part of this. So Florenzi, there's so many players you can look at in this squad, and you can say that they had their ups and downs this year, but at the end of the day, they contributed something. And when the margins are so fine to be a champion and to beat a team like Inter, all credit to them. I know we joke about how much we hate Inter and this and all those sorts of factors, but it takes something truly special to beat a team of that caliber that has that much quality on their team. And when you have players who are able to do just a little bit, and all those little inches, all those little bits add up at the very end, 2 points. We've seen this happen many times in the past, right? A couple years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, under Gattuso, missed out on Champions League in the final match day by a point. That's the margins here, guys. So when you look at all the moments throughout the season, we can point to even Samu Castillejo. I know I'm going on and on here, but that moment where he stepped in, he came off the bench, everyone was upset that he didn't move in the January window, and he puts forth a good performance and we get a win there. That's huge if you really think about all the individual moments that have played into the Scudetto winning season. So, it just feels great to be able to highlight the individual players that maybe don't get that love, aside from like the Ibrahimoviches and the Leaos, because they're always going to get the glory. But again, the unsung heroes, the little guys in this squad, Daniel Maldini too, right? Earlier in the season when we had so many injuries, stepping in and delivering a key moment or two here and there, absolutely crucial. And yeah, I just can't say much more about how proud I am of this team and how proud I am of the job that Stefano Pioli has done.
Before we go ahead and talk about Stefano Pioli here, I do want to go ahead and ask everyone in chat, go ahead and let us know who your Milan MVP of the season is. I know that Stefano Pioli just got the award for the Serie A coach. I know that is going to go ahead and happen here over in Zaghi here. But I want to go ahead and know who you guys think is your Milan MVP. So go ahead and do that in the chat. But and I don't want to go ahead and talk about the Milan project going forward here or next season, or what the goal is for Champions League and so on and on. So I just want to go ahead and keep this focus on the celebrations today here. Don't have any player ratings that we can go ahead and unfortunately throw out, but we can go ahead and have our own. So I'll just go ahead and go by player on the positions here and who played, and then we'll go ahead and just based on how we feel here, and just go ahead and start off, Matt, with our goalkeeper in goal, Mike Maignan.
I mean, I'm gonna say 7. And I know his number wasn't called too much in this game. Again, a testament to how great this defense has been for us. But the moments where he did have his name called, I mean, some really fine saves. And that's been somewhat of a theme here, right? I think people can look at, the fact that, he maybe isn't facing a ton of chances, but when he faces that chance, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind he's making that save. And I think he had one on a corner when we were up 1 or 2-0. And things can change, right? There's momentum swingers, right? There's something like momentum in sports where if you're up 1-0 and let's say Maignan did give up a goal, now it's 1-1 and it gives a little bit some life to Sassuolo. And Maignan didn't allow that. The defense didn't allow that. They had 1-0 and they were like, okay, we're still gonna defend with honor and with a presence, and they absolutely did. And I think Maignan, what a way to encapsulate the week he's had, right? The past couple days, the undisputed #1 goalkeeper in Italy, gets the award for top goalkeeper for Serie A this year, gets a 17th clean sheet in his final game away, does it in front of so many fans, and it's the clean sheet that gives Milan the Scudetto. He had a great performance today, and it's great to have him as our keeper.
Undisputed #1 goalkeeper in Serie A this season, Mike Maignan, has been absolutely phenomenal. Just want to go ahead and know, how did you feel about going into halftime 3-0? Did any factors, including Milan's history, play a part? Did you feel maybe a little bit of calm or anxiety?
No.
What were you thinking?
Honestly, Martino called me earlier in the day in the morning, I think like before he was going to a football factory in New York with AC Milan Club New York. And he was like, how you feeling, man? I'm like, I feel confident. Like, I feel like the guys have given us every reason to be confident in them and that they could get the job done. And, I didn't have any sort of nervousness, even, when the start that we had, even though we weren't scoring goals, that was very encouraging. That helped ease some tension early on, because as I mentioned, I was hoping it wasn't going to be one of those Consigli masterclasses where he makes 10 saves and this game finishes 0-0. So once we were able to get that first goal and start pummeling them and getting them more goal opportunities forward, getting into halftime 3-0, I even said it on Spaces. I was like, I felt good, but I couldn't even dream up this type of first half performance from Leao, from Giroud, and from the entire group. So yeah, I felt good from the onset, and I think it's just again a testament to how well we've played down the stretch.
Well said. Definitely the way that Milan started knocking on the door really early, as I mentioned, 5 big chances in the first 10 minutes, and then
5-0 in the first half, 6-0. Like
yeah,
they
it
had
could have been,
some
yeah,
great saves
honestly.
from Consigli, but it could have been like a heavy defeat. So,
well, I'll go ahead and move on to our next, our back line here with our captain there at the time, Calabria, Kalulu, Tomori, and then Theo Hernandez. Go ahead and we'll just discuss the back line as a whole. Calabria there playing a very strong mental game there. Kalulu and Tomori showing their absolute class once more. Clean sheet, then Tomori before making way for Romagnoli, and then Theo Hernandez still doing his trademark runs there, gaining some fouls. I think that left side just absolutely was lethal against Sassuolo. And you can even see in some of the Sassuolo defenders like Ferrari couldn't even cope with Rafael Leao and Theo Hernandez and just their pace there. And then I think Maxi Lopez got the substitution there pretty early, and then so did Fratesi. He got the substitution as well. So that whole left side was getting changes because Theo Hernandez, Rafael Leao, most threatening players definitely on the pitch today. That left side was definitely lethal. So I'll go ahead and go and say Calabria 6.5, Kalulu 7, Tomori 7, and then Theo 7 as well for me. I think all of them played a pretty great Milan defensive game. Discussion on that, Matt?
I think you're on the money there, Ricardo. I think, look, there were moments where at the Calabria, and I was a little bit nervous because of maybe not so much how he's been playing, which hasn't been great by any stretch. I think, there's something to fans, calling out Calabria for some of the mistakes he's made in recent weeks that have not fatal because defensively we've been able to recover and recuperate, but the pitch conditions were I don't know if there was anything to it, but so many players slipping, and that was concerning very early on because I think look, we've seen it, right? We've seen it many times. We've seen it with Steven Gerrard in the title chase years ago against Chelsea where he slipped and then Demba Ba scores the goal and they lose the title, right? Like you see players slipping and you're like, tell me we're not going to get one of those fluky goals that Calabria slips and they run in behind and they score a goal. Like I was hoping that wasn't going to happen. And I think as a team defensively, even when we did have the occasional error in the back, giving away a ball, Tonali had one, Calabria had one as well. There's so much harmony between how Kalulu and Tomori play, and even Frank Kessie, who dropped down deep. We were able to defend well, win that ball back, and Sassuolo they do like to press. So the fact that we were able to slot Kessie back into basically a defensive 5 or a defensive 3 with the fullbacks going forward to provide outlets wide, I thought that we did a good job of frustrating Sassuolo. So defensively, as a group, you're spot on with the ratings. I thought we played really, really strong there.
I'll go ahead and just hop on over to the midfielders then with Sandro Tonali and Frank Kesia playing in that double pivot there with Krunic in front of them. Tonali only playing one half, getting the yellow card, although he was still an engine running there and having the connections with Rafael Leao early in the game and other of our attacking options being able to penetrate Sassuolo line to find Giroud and even Salmeckers. Only got to see a little bit of Tonali there, so probably not going to be too generous of a rating, even though we won. So 6 there, just again because of that yellow card there. But Frank Kesia, though, on the other side, played absolutely great. I thought it was one of his better games. and he was hungry for goal, very aggressive, being able to go ahead and drive into the box, getting the goal, as well as winning the ball in crucial positions, and then just showing the kind of brilliant player he is, being able to drive with the ball in the moments where he dropped the shoulders, beat players, or being able to go ahead and penetrate the lines. And it was some of that we missed at some parts of the season, where we talked about where he kind of did a ghost performance and he was winning loose balls and just distributing short. This is the kind of brilliance that he can go ahead and bring onto the pitch. And it just showed that he really, really wanted to go ahead and be a Scudetto winner with Milan. So hats off to him. Generous on a rating, and give him 7.5, definitely. And then Krunic, just being the type of player he is out there, just going out there and being an engine that continues to run, not really creative in the offense there. I think had a chance there to square it to Giroud after a Concili spill, but almost literally dying for the badge when he jumped in front of that shot and went down for a moment. But it's a player that Pioli likes, and it's a system that, he wants to go ahead and has worked, and it's worked great for us. And so having Krunic there, being able to assist Giroud and Leao in pressing high up the pitch, and it worked so well today. I think just the Sassuolo could not cope with the high press from Milan, and it starts with having an additional defensive-minded player so high up on the field. So hats off to Pioli. Krunic, great performance before Brahim Diaz came on. So I'll just go ahead and give him a rating of 7, and then go ahead and let you discuss on the 3 midfielders, Matt.
I thought the midfield was once again stable. I think, Tonali, he's had better games in the past, but I think maybe in these past 2 games, you started to see that maybe he was a little bit more tired. And the fact that you have the luxury of being able to bring on Ismail Benacer, a player of that class and that ilk, why risk it, right? You mentioned the yellow card in a game like this. Pioli isn't playing any chance. He's not taking any chances here. I know 3-0 was a pretty favorable scoreline at the half, but I think, we've seen crazier things. We've seen, Domenico Berardi himself drop 4 on Milan, under Allegri, and that was the final nail in the coffin for him as Milan coach. So I think the fact that Pioli knew he had Benacer there, he was like, let's make this switch. Let's not play around here. The conditions aren't favorable. And I don't know why the players were slipping so much. I don't know if there was anything to it, but it was on both ends. It was kind of odd there. But as a group, I thought defensively we were solid. As you mentioned, Kesia specifically, I want to bring him up because this is his last performance with Milan, and it's a fantastic way to go out. I think this was the type of performance that Milan fans have begun to see the past, as a common performance the past year and a half, and that they will be disappointed to see walk out the door when he is going to be joining Barcelona. Good ball carrier, defensively, again, he was really vital in being a player that Milan can use to move possession around in the back when building up. He had his moments where he was charging forward. Obviously, that's a great finish, right? That's a great finish. The way he just struck that, you knew it was Milan's day. You knew they weren't going to let this one slip. And the performance from Krunic. And I think what's interesting about players like Rad Krunic is you look at the shakeup that this Milan midfield will be taking, right? Like Tonali, Benacer are clear-cut your 2 guys, right? Then there's this talk of Renato Sanchez. You don't know if he's going to be a number 10. You don't know if he's going to be a winger, how he's going to be utilized if he does arrive. Tommaso Pobega could be coming back from Torino. There's a dry loan there, although Torino is trying to maybe work out a permanent solution. So when you look at all these factors that come into play, you look at all the midfielders that Milan do have currently, it asks the question that, someone's got to go. There's going to be players that aren't going to maybe get more minutes, or they're going to be maybe limited there. And I think if you look at it, Bakayoko's gone. You look at maybe Pobega, does he come in as either maybe the 4th or 5th option, maybe behind someone like Krunic, who really, it's really hard to say. But I think one thing is for certain, Krunic is a player that his type is the type of player that every champion has to have. If you're going to win anything, there's got to be that guy that's going to be gritty. He made a great point in his post-match presser last week, where he said, whether it be 1 minute, whether it be the full 90, half, like, I got to come in, I got to play a role, I have a job to do. Milan fans love that. As a Milan fan, I absolutely love seeing that. And this is a type of player that, regardless of what type of influx of players we do see in his area, Krunic is going to have a spot next season. He's going to be a fan favorite. He's going to be a player that fans will remember for a very long time because of all the reasons you mentioned, all the reasons we've discussed, the parts that he played in us getting to this position as champions.
Well said there. I'll go ahead and move over to just our attacking 3 players here, starting from right to left. Alexis Salmeckers playing on the right wing. He got plenty of chances at goal, and he got plenty of chances on the ball to go ahead and drive and initiate Milan attacks. Fouled a couple of times, being able to go ahead and show a little bit of his potential and brilliance. I thought that flick over a sliding, I don't remember who slid to try to go ahead and win the ball, either Scamacca or Raspadori, but Alexis Salmeckers being able to flick that and then drive with the ball before winning a foul there. And then Olivier Giroud playing our number 9, absolutely finding great positions in the box, big game player. Many reasons we've already discussed.
Rolls-Royce striker. Rolls-Royce striker.
France just produces absolutely fantastic number 9s, and we just happen to be
maybe
lucky
France
to have
let us have one once in Italy because we really don't, honestly.
And then fan favorite MVP. We asked in the chat, who's your MVP of the season?
It's Leao.
Rafael Leao. I mean, 3 assists here, possible 4th here that didn't get counted for Zlatan Ibrahimovic goal, but the type of player that he was today, showing that he is world-class, possibly the best player, the top 3 in Serie A. He definitely is the MVP, but today was just absolutely fantastic. Didn't get on the score sheet. I thought, he could have a few chances there. I think there was one where the defender slid there, made a great save.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I thought, it was going to be one of those games where he was going to be a little bit more selfish and take that into his own responsibility. But just absolutely brilliant, just seeing him just utilize his teammates and not showing frustration, kind of dictating the game, choosing when to go ahead and play, overlapping Theo Hernandez, when to cut inside and shoot, when to go ahead and drive a ball back to Giroud. And I think all of his decision-making today was phenomenal. It even took an attempt of 2 Sassuolo defenders to try to win the ball from him. As I mentioned, Ferrari practically gave up trying to defend him. There was one attempt, I think the second goal, where he tried to tackle him. It didn't even work out. But Rafael Leao, star of the match for me. Definitely go ahead and give him high rating there, probably 8. Giroud, high rating as well, 8. And then Alexis Salmeckers played a really good match, 6.5.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, can we give Leao a 10? We probably could, to be honest with you. I truly believe that, because I think, you look at first half assists. That set the tone for Milan very early, right? When you're able to get a guy like Leao, who's so influential, so vital, and get him going early and get him involved in the game and get him involved in the attacking phase like Milan did, and then have him capitalize on. I mean, he's in such a fine form right now where he's doing everything right. And I think, the performance is everything you could have asked for. I mean, it set the tone for Milan. He's been a player that has matured to the point where he understood the severity of the situation. He understood the importance of his role down the stretch for Milan. And this type of performance to end the season this way as MVP, there's nothing more to be said. Rafael Leao is world-class, and he is truly going to be a player that I would be stunned in the next 5 years isn't in that conversation as a Ballon d'Or candidate, because I think he's truly that type of – he's different gravy. He's just different gravy, and he knows he's good. There's nothing more scary about a player who is so special like he is and absolutely knows it and knows when to channel it. And I think that was the difference this year versus previous years. A lot of times you would see glimpses, a lot of substance, but a lot of, needless dribbling sometimes. This year it was much different. And I think with the importance of this final match day, you got a lot more understanding from outside of Italy. For those watching, what's all this conversation about Rafael Leao? I see he's linked to Real Madrid, PSG. You know why. You know why. So that's me on Leao. As I mentioned on Olivier Giroud, Rolls-Royce striker. I mean, there's so many moments this season where, in an era where you ask a player to do a little bit more than score goals, he's done everything. Despite coming into a new opportunity, despite sharing minutes with Ibrahimovic. And, people even look to that moment and they said, will they clash a little bit because, Ibrahimovic is that type of guy. He's an acquired taste, right? Like you have one veteran who's won a lot. You have another veteran who's won a lot. There can be some sort of overstepping on roles and duties. And those two are champions and they play so extremely well together. And they understood the role that they played maybe a little bit different in this team versus some of the previous teams they've won at. But a tip of the cap to Giroud on such great wavelength with Rafael Leao. Gets 2 goals. The nutmeg was a special one, especially on Consigli. And to see, even Salmeckers put forth a good shift. This was the type of performance that I know may not be enough for a lot of Milan fans to have him be convinced as a player that they want to keep on moving forward. But I think this was the type of performance that, throw out all the stats, throw out all the numbers. This is the type of performance that Pioli loves from Alexis Salmeckers. This was the type of performance that a lot of people came to enjoy and appreciate and admire from Salmeckers. He needs to score more goals, yes. He needs to be able to be a little bit more assertive in the final third. But I think, again, everyone's got a role to play. And I think he did his role today. He won a couple balls back. He kept possession. He, was able to switch fields and to give the opposition a different look. So from an offensive standpoint, I thought our attackers did really well as a unit to really bring wave after wave of pressure and to just be unrelenting on the final match day. So a tip of the cap to the group. I really can't, honestly, if we're being honest, Ricardo, and maybe you can point out if there was a player that just had like a not good performance. Everyone played well today.
No, I want to give everybody
what we want to end on the season with is everyone playing well.
Fantastic. I mean, it showed again just that hunger and mentality. And I think it took Sassuolo, moving the ball quickly in the first few minutes and getting their first chance with, I think, Berardi skying it. And then after that, Milan just, like you said, relentless and constant pressure. And then just trying to find where that goal was coming from. So many different opportunities and players. So finding 3 goals today, hats off to our attacking players. They definitely delivered today and not conceding a goal. So hats off to our defense. Everybody today was fantastic. Nobody had a poor performance. Even the individuals who came on played a big role. I mean, Zlatan almost getting the goal there. So Romagnoli coming on, playing a part in our defense. Florenzi coming on, Benacer coming on, and Brahim Diaz coming on, as I mentioned. So, and that tops it off. I think a very exciting end of the season there. We get to go ahead and be champions of Italy. As you could see, a Barcelona fan in the chat just let us know we're signing a Serie A champion for free. Kesia, welcome to Barcelona.
Listen, he's a very good player. He's a very good player. Enjoy him. It's hard to say how players will do in a different environment. There's obviously now with the big money, will he be more the player that he was in the past year and a half, or be a player that was down the stretch a little bit disappointing at times? So it's hard to say. But yeah, I think when you can get a player at his age with his availability, as you mentioned, Serie A champion for free, that's a big coup for Barcelona. It's a big opportunity for Frank. And as I mentioned, look, it didn't end the way we wanted it, but at the end of the day, he did play a role in us getting 19th Scudetto. So tip of the cap to him. And best of luck at Barcelona.
I will say, I'm sure we'll have another episode here soon where we'll go ahead and discuss the future of the Milan project, the transfer market, the mercato, the players, player review overall the season, and just kind of go ahead and talk outside of the celebrations of today. Today is a day of just celebrations, so go ahead and party responsibly, enjoy this fantastic moment that we've been waiting for in so long, since 2011. There are more positives than just the Scudetto, guys. We're going back into Champions League. We have fantastic core players. So celebrate it all. And then I'll go ahead and see, Matt, any final thoughts here? Any closing discussions?
Yeah, I just want to once again thank everybody in the comments, thank everybody on Twitter who supports Riccardo and myself, who supports Milan Reports, what we do. From Sabrina to Connor, Miguel, Vito, Ahmad, Wedgie, everybody that does play a role in Milan Reports. This is amazing to end the season this way, and for us to be able to share that with you guys is truly special. So as Riccardo just make sure you celebrate, but celebrate responsibly. Don't be stupid, but enjoy this, because this is a great moment. And I know there's going to be a lot of people, if you're anything like me, who would dedicate countless hours creating content, doing player ratings for awful performances in 2015 and 2016. It makes the wait is worth it. And today it was worth it, guys. So enjoy yourselves. And once again, thank you guys for supporting us.
All right. Well, guys, celebrate the victory. I want to go ahead and say Forza Milan. And again, we'll catch you on the next Milan Reports episode. All right. So take care.